Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Holland IQ 2022 Global Impact Summit. I'm Ashley, and I am a Senior Account Manager here at Holland IQ. As part of our Africa Summit, I am so delighted to be joined by Hakim Zubair, who is the CEO at 1 Million Teachers. Welcome. So first, I would like to invite Hakim to give us a little more background on 1 Million Teachers, and then we'll dive into some Q&A to find out a little bit more about what you're doing in the space and what's happening in the region overall. And I will now pass it over to Hakim.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much for your kind introduction. As she says, my name is Hakim Zubair. I am co-founder as well as CEO of 1 Million Teachers. What a great pleasure to be part of this summit. I am really passionate about human capacity development, and there is no way we can have quality education without teachers, without capable teachers. And if you look at most of the problems facing the world today, can be traceable to education, lack of adequate education. So we set out at 1 Million Teachers to make a difference. And what difference are we trying to make is to leverage the most critical resource for enhancing student learning, for enhancing learning outcome, which is teachers. Right now, we focus on Sub-Saharan Africa, but we are in 19 countries altogether, supporting 30,000 plus teachers. Within that program, we have about 2,100 that we call the Black Belt. So these are really high capacity teachers that have come to our program and that we continue to support. So our program actually provides an opportunity for lifelong learning, raising a generation of teachers who are efficacious, who believe that the work that they're doing makes a difference. And how do we do this? First of all, we set out on what we call a triple challenge. The UNESCO reports that we've been using lately, and that is like the go-to place for a lot of data and statistics about a shortage of teachers, says that we would need 69 million by 2030. Unfortunately, Sub-Saharan Africa is responsible for a large chunk of that number. So hence the reason why we are focused on Sub-Saharan Africa right now. And it's not just a question of number of teachers, but it's also a question of capacity. Teachers who really have the qualification and the mindset to be able to enhance student learning. So that is really what prompted us to develop the 1MT challenge, which we call the triple challenge. First of all, how do we ensure that we close this gap? How do we ensure that the teachers who we're attracting into the profession and the ones who are already existing have the knowledge, the skills, and attitude to enhance student learning? And finally, because this is also very important, particularly in Sub-Saharan Africa where we're currently focused, how do we keep them motivated? How do we incentivize the behavior that we hope to see? So that is the 1MT triple challenge. So just taking you down a little bit into how we work. The first part of the program, which we say that is based online, we do that, provide access for them to be able to access the portal offline, but most of it is based online. And we say that before I talked about the Black Belt program earlier, the number of teachers that we have. So we want to make sure that the teachers that we bring into our physical spaces, they've gone through the rudiments, gone through the fundamentals. So that fundamental part of the training is what we call the belting system, part of our Black Belt program, where they start from a clean slate. They go from white belt to orange, yellow, blue, red, and all of that. And each of the belts has a certain number of courses embedded in them, and they get certificates and all of the other rewards as they go along, until they get to the next phase of the program, which we call Journey to Empowerment. So Ashley, if you could, yeah. So, and this is what it looks like when we say, because ultimately we want teachers who are empowered enough to make a difference. So training is just a component of that. And if you look at my screen here, we're talking about different pathways that we create in order for these teachers to essentially become empowered. And if you look at My next slide, you will see what we mean when we say a teacher is empowered. When you know that the work that you're doing makes a difference in the life of these kids, when you know that you feel, or you are part of the decision making that enhances the quality of learning for the children. You are confident in your professional development. You walk tall, just like any other professional, whether they are doctors or engineers and whatnot. So really, the way anybody will feel like the work that they do, in summary, can make a whole lot of difference. But we want to do it in a different ways. That's why we talked about the Black Belt program. These people who have gone through the rudiment, we bring them back in as part of the support network, as part of the faculty, as part of the mentorship program that we provide for these teachers, in order for them to raise other leaders, other educational leaders in their communities like this. So it's very homegrown. It's designed to be homegrown. We don't want anybody from anywhere to come provide solution for you in your community. We want you to feel empowered enough to be able to see what challenges you can tackle as far as education is concerned, not only at your school, but in the immediate community. And whilst doing that, you also inspire others, you help bring them up. So essentially, it's homegrown. You're regenerating. That pool, that ripple keeps expanding, and we have more Black belts who are really capable to know that they can make a difference in learning. So that's a summary of the 1 Million Teacher Program.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a really great high-level overview. And I'm sure you can imagine, and sure a lot of people here are thinking, I have a lot of questions to follow up on that. So something that you touched on, thinking about homegrown, and in my brain, I automatically start thinking, okay, so what is the process like to outreach to these potential teachers? How are you bringing these folks in, and kind of what does that whole arena look like?
Well, I mean, when we started, we made a lot of noise. As a startup, there's a lot more noise than substance. But as you continue to build your muscle, you get stronger. So I think this is a mission that almost anyone can resonate with. We know the importance of teachers. We know the importance of education. We know the primacy of teachers. There's a ton of research that supports that. So it's like a given, right? So and when you start talking about what you want to do, it's easy to attract people, teachers, other supporters. So that's really how it started. We started with a few, private schools, and people started hearing about what we were doing, and they told others, and we started getting requests. So what is required to join this program? So essentially, it started like with a small band of people, very dedicated, very passionate people, who have become like the people who share the love stories with 1 Million Teachers.
The internal champions.
So I think their excitement is really what has driven our growth more than anything. And honestly, like we have thought about it a long time, that if we focus on the people who are benefiting from the program, then we don't need to worry too much. Making sure that this is something that they have access to, that they possibly haven't ever imagined in their life. We say without, I mean, this is a humble brag, but we say there is no teacher development solution that is as comprehensive as the 1 Million Teacher solution anywhere. And given the kind of pricing that, there is nowhere. And this is not just about training. We see that the problem is way beyond training. People need to feel empowered. People need to feel motivated. So they have access to all of our programs for life. We're working with them from the very get-go to the very end. They never really leave the program. So you see people who come in, who are very green, who don't know their, how to talk about these things, and they become the leaders. They have a lot of people have earned significant amount of money. Some have earned money that their regular teacher salary in a month is not even as much as in a year. It's not even as much as what they have getting out of 1 Million Teachers, because they are coming back, because we can't do it alone. We need a lot of an army, essentially, an army of like-minded people, confident teachers who are inspiring others. So it is a system. So when you say that homegrown, that's kind of the system that we were hoping to create. And I think I can proudly say that we are on that journey. A lot more army for mobilizing a bigger army to tackle this challenge. So yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And I'm just curious. So then, as teachers come in, is it cyclical? So as they come through the system and they get trained up, are they then the teachers to new teachers who are coming in as well? So is it kind of giving back that way?
Yeah. Well, okay. So we have a mentorship program. So the teachers who have really become black belts involved. So we actually have a partnership with HP for it's called HP Mentoring Teacher Program. In the first iteration of that was HP middle to top executives mentoring our teachers, and now it's now homegrown. So we have teachers who went through as mentors, as mentees, have now become mentors. So we support them with all kinds of training, personal effectiveness, scheduling, all kinds of things, but with the focus on not only to build a capacity, but also help them build their digital literacy skills, because I mean, you know what the world is right now. So
Sure.
that kind of what we're doing, they are part of it. In fact, many of them are part of the business development part of the work that we do as 1 million teachers. The core team is just this army who are coming and like, wow, I can do this. You know, I can make a difference in my community and I can earn something while doing that. And they do a lot of trainings themselves. They are challenged by what they see others doing, and they come up with training. So we have all of the content, but we also challenge them to what is missing, what is missing, what are we not seeing, you understand? And there's a whole lot of feedback. Every Thursday we have training online, sometimes in person, but mainly online, Zoom and all of that. So we have teachers from many African countries, only black belts. So it's also part of what we created, like something to look forward to, like, oh, I want to be part of this very exclusive group of teachers who meet as part of the professional learning community every week.
No, that's really helpful. And I think that kind of leaning on that homegrown nature is something that is so enticing to the folks who are joining, I imagine. And that kind of leads me to my next question, which is a little bit going back to your humble brag that you mentioned before. But I'm just curious. So, what would you say that 1 million teachers is doing differently in this space? Sort of what sets you apart from potential competitors or others in the space?
Well, I mean, this challenge is a wicked problem, I must say. I think we need everybody, every institution who can be, just part of that change. It's massive. So we like to collaborate. We focus a lot on partnerships. So rather than say maybe looking at what other people are doing, is saying that sharing our own insights. What are we doing differently? How did we organize ourselves to make this affordable, this high quality program affordable for the people who need it the most? Because usually they are the ones who are unable to afford something like this. How do we find partnership to make it work? So we've always been very lean. And I think from the get-go, we've stripped away all the fat or whatever it is that holds organizations down. And the bulk of the core 1MT team, they're very passionate people. This is a mission for us, so it's a bit different. If you're doing something else, or like people who are doing it for the pay, so yeah, I think we have a unique working environment and mindset because of the way we started. We wanted to say that, anybody who comes to our door, no matter what, we are able to meet your needs as a teacher, whether you have the resources or not. And I think that kind of has helped us to design in a way that we make that possible. We have partnership with Queen's University, for example, in Canada, and they helped develop a framework, a program framework, and the knowledge infrastructure that we use as 1 million teachers, including content development and all of that, along with our team, our instructional designers. And everything they've done, everything they've given is at no cost to 1 million teachers. And not only have they done that, all of the intellectual property of has been given to us at 1 million teachers. So when you have partners like that is committed to international social justice, and they say, hey, I remember the first time we had a meeting when they said they could help us. They said, hey, we're going to give you an army. And I didn't understand what that statement meant until, we're like 5 years in this partnership that continues to work stronger, all kinds of scholarship that they provide, all kinds of opportunities. Now I understand what they meant. And those are the kind of people that support us. There are many HP, Girl Rising, and so many other institutions that make it possible for us to do what we're doing.
No, that's really great. And I think that all ties back to this idea of community coming together and everybody chipping in a little bit and sort of figuring out those partnerships and how you can work best together. And I feel like that kind of leads right into my next question, which are what are some other ways that people can get involved and work with the organization?
Well, I mean, so as you know,
Broad question.
yeah, I mean, if you say, hey, what do you need? I'll say, hey, give me some more money. I want to afford more data for teachers who are deserving. We actually have a micro insurance package for some of our black belts. So we are not able to meet the needs of everybody. So we're kind of taking it a step at a time. There are so many things that we're doing for those teachers. We give cash incentives in many situations. How can we have more cash? Or if, let's say, you're a telecoms company, how can you give us data that we can distribute to these teachers to continue their learning? So many things. It doesn't matter cash, kind, gift that you want to use to say, hey, or even adopt a black belt or adopt a teacher, for example. So those are the kind of things that we feel like we need to support to continue to support the program. And like as I've always mentioned, the people who need this the most can't afford it. So we have to wait to help them. And honestly, from let's be selfish a little here. People think that, oh, it's not my problem. So you can sit in the US or Canada or Mexico, wherever it is that you sit in the world in your very privileged community. And you think that is not your problem. But guess what? We have climate change issues. We have mass migration, people being displaced, internal conflict, all of these kind of things. A large component of that has to do with education. You're telling somebody don't cut down these trees and they can't feed, they're not going to listen to you, you know. So people get to different levels in their lives, and that all of these issues that affects all of us resonates with them. So how do we help those who do not have the resources and desperately need this help? So that is the mission that we have set out. We want to train 1 million teachers, as our name states. That our mission is very, very clear. We know what we need to do. We just are looking for partners to say, hey, you're not alone, let's work with you.
Perfect. No, that's super helpful. And I think, thinking about kind of how different regions affect other regions and kind of how we can all come together and assist. Something that I wanted to double click on that you said earlier was just diving into a little bit more about Sub-Saharan Africa. So obviously, I know you mentioned that the teacher issue is going to be a massive problem there, and according to the UNESCO indicators, but I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about what do you think that those who are just entering this region, this market, need to know, and kind of what are some of the hardest things about doing work in this region in particular?
And there are variations. So I'm not one person to say, hey, you can apply a broad stroke on everything. I think even within each country, there are nuances, local nuances, and you must be mindful of that. Language, culture, all of those things, even income, and all kinds of issues that you need to do. So you have to localize it as much as possible. So when people say Sub-Saharan Africa, for somebody who doesn't know, they'll think it's just one very monolithic region, or they have the same language or the same culture. No. I mean, I just said, let me give you an example. In a place like Nigeria, there are at least 500 different ethnicities. How do you even begin to break that? Yes, there are things that are common with a particular market, but it's just having that mindset that, you know what, it's different. And whatever you do, you have to adapt locally, from your pricing to how you communicate to, everything. And I think it's always very, very important to work with the people on the ground. And that's what I like about 1 million teachers. We teachers in the community, we want them to be the community leaders. We want to understand based on the people who are in that community. So you're not going to bring somebody from a faraway place to just come and take their own notion or their idea of what should happen on the ground and kind of push it to these people. So we're very, very local like that. And my advice for anybody operating in this space or in any space whatsoever, you're trying to get to a different area, is to, put your ears close to the ground, and then, try to adapt whatever you're doing. We don't have the same structure for 1 million teachers in different countries that we operate. Everyone is different. Some will work directly with the teachers, some we work in partnership with others, some even the little fee that we charge is different based on what we perceive to be income. People say, oh, this is not going to work yet. Yes, we see that. And also part of why I travel a lot, because I want to sit with the people who are working with, really, really understand their pains. We talk about design thinking a lot in theory. In practice, it's not something that many of us do very well, but really, really working in the shoes of the customer or the users. Really, really, really designing for them and being empathetic. I think that's the place to start. Always, always. And that's why I like Amazon, because that customer centricity, like everything is centered around the customer, around the user. I think that's something that we do a lot. And we're still learning from it. So.
Perfect. No, that's super helpful. Thank you for sharing. And I guess just kind of thinking future forward, I know that the goal is obviously to train up 1 million teachers, but just thinking kind of 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, where do you see 1 million teachers going, or kind of what are the big audacious goals?
So
I'm sure a lot.
yeah, you probably haven't seen 1MT. We call ourselves 1MT, 1MT. There are a whole lot. About 3 years ago, we started what we call our systems thinking approach, and not just looking at something from a lens, but looking at some of the inadvertent consequences of our action, and then looking at the entire landscape all the time and seeing that if you pull this lever, what's the impact on that lever? What's the impact on so many other components of the system? And that requires a lot of collaboration, working with so many other organizations that are similarly aligned with what we're doing. I think we have managed over the years to build a very strong and rapidly growing distribution network, which I think we can ride on with the number of teachers that we have, with the way they are distributed, and how most of them are rising in leadership. Many of them have gotten promotion. There's one in Malawi who the Minister for Education said, hey, we need to get you out of the classroom so that you can be part of the policy. So there are all kinds of stories like that. And what we see is opportunities to further connect these teachers, opportunity to find a way to help them enhance their income. I told you about, we actually have what we call the SDG, MS2 SDG challenge. It's only for teachers. Last year, the first cohort, there were 10,000, 10 of them, got as much as $10,000. And then this year we have a larger cohort from 8 countries, 25 of them, so it's getting bigger and bigger. So that's kind of one of the things that we're doing. So there are so many others we actually have a product roadmap in terms of content. We're currently working to translate our content into French. And we've had
cool.
inquiry about even Arabic speaking, but money is always a challenge, because you have to ask yourself, yes, we can solve all problems, so let's stay focused on and focus on the things that have the biggest leverage. So that is part of what we're doing. There are related opportunities that we've seen. Surprisingly, a lot of these are from the teachers themselves that say, hey, why are we not doing this? We should be doing this. And we want to be able to tap into that. I see 1 million teachers truly becoming 1MT. We've already started that journey. So that 1MT represents way more than just training teachers, than just empowering teachers, but being able to offer a suite of programming that continues to support teachers and the teacher and the education community in general.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And it has been so wonderful to talk to you and hear more about how things are developing with 1 million teachers. Thank you for taking the time to share more about your work. And we really do look forward to seeing how things develop in the future.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Pleasure speaking with you today.